I shall never forget the date of January 5, 1985. I was a member of the Wheels of Man, a motorcycle club. Riding with that crazy lot was some of the finest moments of my life. But this is not a story about being a biker. It is about my crash on a classic 1965 Harley-Davidson Panhead ex-police bike. I was ready to leave the clubhouse when one of the brothers requested if I might drive his son home. I assured him, sure, no problem, because I had not had any alcohol that day. We headed out to the bike after I met Frank. I got on the bike, he got on, and we rode a few streets so he could retrieve his bike and return to the clubhouse where he worked part-time. When it happened, I was only a block away from his house. While I was driving 45 miles per hour, a drunk driver made an incorrect left turn in front of me. He slammed the front of the vehicle into us on the passenger side, just past the front bumper. Frank was dragged under the vehicle and under the rear passenger wheel as the bike crashed, fracturing his back in 15 places. When the motorbike accident occurred, I was knocked out of my body, and the NDE occurred immediately upon impact. I was outside my body, observing everything that happened to me, the bike and Frank in slow time. Poor Frank was all I could think. When I saw the guy get out of his truck and go over to me, squatting down over me, I grabbed his hair and punched him in the face. Even though I was not in my body, I was still kicking some ass. I recall seeing bystanders and the ambulance arrive, as well as a couple of paramedics sprinting over to where my corpse lay lifeless on the road. I was back in my body, in excruciating anguish throughout my entire body. I recall seeing a paramedic hovering above me and shining a light in my eyes, followed by another siren, most likely a cop car or fire truck. I was now in an ambulance. I recall hearing one of the medics say, "We're losing him," while I was drifting in and out of consciousness. The flat line on the cardiac monitor they had placed on my chest was audible to me. The anguish ceased when I transitioned from excruciating pain and suffering to bliss and happiness. It was unlike anything I would have ever experienced before. I initially felt it in the right side of my body, as if each cell in my body was getting numb, and my spirit was being ripped from this mortal body from right to left at the same moment. It was not painful, but it was a frightening sensation. Then it happened. Total tranquility. After entering the ambulance, I never saw a tunnel of light or floated above my body. Everything began to turn a dazzling white until there was no longer any form and simply pure light. I wanted to close my eyes at first, but I did not have any. Then the magnificent white light of love, which seemed like it was hugging me, faded away, revealing the most gorgeous countryside I had ever seen. I began to see flowers, bright blooms. Some of the hues were new to me, and they stretched off into the distance along the undulating hills. I was floating down the earth as I approached them. Then, my eyesight began to clear, and I found myself by a river, staring at a gazebo. A glass table was placed between two high-back wicker seats in the gazebo. There was what appeared to be a full pitcher of lemonade on the table. There were two empty glasses on the table, waiting to be filled. Soon after, I began to get a strong sense that I was not destined to be here just now, and that when I crossed over again, this would be my home. When I turned to my right, I noticed the most magnificent cottage I had ever seen. When the blinding white light began to fill my vision, I just caught a glimpse of it. I thought I heard a whoosh. I was back in my body, in excruciating anguish. So when I returned, I passed out. Before they put me in a coma, I woke up a few times. I recall waking up from my coma and wondering how a spirit so vast could be packed back into this body of cells. It's like cramming 20 pounds of muck into a 5-pound burlap sack. I was so impressed with myself that I began playing with the strings on my hospital gown, astounded that I could even move my hands, let alone play with them. I still value the small pleasures in life. When you're born into this world, I believe you weep because you have transitioned from a state of perfect ecstasy and happiness to one of anguish and misery. Feelings, emotions, and the anguish of being born into this world wash over you like a great tsunami. I would weep as well. I died for the second time that day. As you might expect, I regularly think back to that date in 1985. Going through this had made me value life even more. But there's more. It made me despise this location. Allow me to attempt to explain. When I became fully conscious, I began to view things in a new light. For example, I understood how rare and valuable life is, and how we, as a race, or more accurately, civilization, take practically everything for granted when it is all a gift. Experiences as a gift. This world is rich in diversity and adventure, but most of us will never fully appreciate the experience if governments continue to stand in the way of experiencing life to the fullest. I believe that if we all began accepting personal responsibility for everything we do and stopped begging for forgiveness for everything that we do, we would be able to begin experiencing life more fully and with more appreciation. Life is full of ups and downs, and it is through these experiences that we become who we are. I could go on and on about humanity's ethics, but this was a personal experience, and I think I've spoken enough for now. To everyone who have and have not seen life through the eyes of death, I wish you peace.